Welcome to the Spring Title I Administrators Training. This training will provide an overview of information needed to complete tasks associated with Title I programming between May and July of 2020. The agenda you see before you is a snapshot of training topics which are each supported by additional information you received in the email that came along with this training. As you embark on meeting with your leadership team to plan for the upcoming school year, allow the Godot School Improvement Continuous Improvement Cycle to guide your process. You, along with your leadership team, will be using data from 2020 to reflect, monitor, and build on moving forward to 2021. Let's talk for a few minutes about the school improvement process. The first of that process is looking at your CNA, which will be reviewed and updated as necessary. Then you will work on your SIP, your Title I budgets, which must reflect items that are already listed in your SIP and CNA. And then you'll have a Godot checklist to use to review your SIP to ensure that you have all components necessary. As you work through this process, you'll notice on this slide that from May to June, you should be meeting with your school leadership team in conjunction with your executive director, your school improvement director, and your Title I program manager. Moving on from there, June 30th is your deadline for your completed CNA, Comprehensive Needs Assessment, SIP, School Improvement Plan, and your Title I budget. These will be reviewed by your executive director and also your Title I program manager. In July, you'll receive feedback from your executive director, your school improvement director, and your Title I program manager, which will inform any additional changes your school leadership team will need to make in the plan. First and foremost, please invite your program manager to your leadership meetings for your CNA and SIP. Where is your CNA and school improvement plan located? Most of you know this is already in the SLDS platform, which has built transparency between the school system and Godot. Godot is reviewing this alignment when a budget is submitted. When you're working on your school improvement plan, it's a good idea to go ahead and print that plan, look at it, make sure your formatting is correctly before it's submitted to your ED. As a reminder, charts, tables, and pictures cannot be copied into the SLDS platform. You will have to create the chart within that platform. Complete 100% of the process and then only submit to the school administrator. If you need help with all of this, there's a wealth of information on Godot's SLDS help page. There is a link here, and you'll find this PowerPoint in your attachments so that you can go back and click on the link if you need this information. When you begin to meet with your team, one of the first things to think about is your sign-in sheet. And this sign-in sheet can be uploaded as a Google Doc where you can have everyone that's meeting go in and sign. They'll need their name and they'll also need their job role. Another bit of information to remember as you're meeting to talk about your CNA and SIP is to include business partners, families, and school council members. Again, during these unusual times, that may be through a team meeting. It may be reaching out with a phone call and then emailing to get feedback as you work through this process. We'll leave that up to each of you to decide what works best for you and your school team. Again, this form is available and I would suggest uploading it to Google Docs. In addition to your sign-in sheet, we will supply you with an agenda that can be used to guide your leadership meeting and just talking about the key components of the CNA and the SIP. This is also in the information that was emailed to you. And again, I would email this out to your leadership team or put it on Google Doc to share. As you begin to meet, you'll know that your SIP and your CNA were cloned back in February, which means that everything that was in your FY 2020 plan has been cloned, and you're going back in to review the CNA, not recreate it. But if you are looking to do some root cause analysis, we have some resources attached for you on using the fishbone diagram and also the 5 whys as you explore root cause analysis. When you move on to planning and your school improvement plan updates, one area where we found a number of issues last year was that schools were not correctly writing SMART goals. Please look at the information that we've sent out with this email that gives you some guidance on a SMART goal. Also, everything in your budget has to be related back to evidence-based research. This means that just because you have a software program that a few teachers love to use, if there's not research studies to support outcomes, successful outcomes, then it might be something you want to put to the side and put your federal dollars towards something that has a stronger evidence base to support it moving forward. And finally, when you just think your work is done, pull out the Godot checklist, and again, it's attached to the email you got sent. Compare it to your CNA and your SIP to be sure that you've hit on every area that Godot is requesting. Please make sure when you're working through your SIP that you've answered all the questions, and it will show 100% complete when this is correct. I want to talk for a few minutes about the difference between evidence and research-based. Research-based simply means that there's a theory behind something. It could be true, it could not be true. Evidence-based, as opposed to research-based, means that there is strong evidence to back it up. These are independent studies. They were not done by the vendor as white papers on their website, but they are independent studies. When you look at evidence-based strategies, you'll see that there are 4 areas: strong, moderate, promising, and then demonstrates a rationale. As you look down through the descriptions under each of these, it's going to take you back to your days of educational research in college probably, where you're looking at well-designed and implemented experimental studies, quasi-experimental studies, correlational studies, and then action research. As program managers for Title I, we're here to guide you through this process. And if you work closely with us, we should be able to do this research for you and assist you with finding what you need to support what's going into your plan, or have a critical discussion with you on what may be a better fit if we can't find any evidence to support what you're looking at. As part of completing your SIP, we have a document in Title I that is a companion document to your SIP and your budget, which verifies that each item in your budget has evidence-based research to support it. This includes software, teachers, academic coaches, tutorial, and again, your Title I program manager can assist you greatly with this process because they have been looking at evidence-based research for school improvement grants, for school improvement schools. They have a cross-section that they can put their hands on and assist you so that you're not spending all of your time trying to find research. And to further that, We have an evidence-based research repository that we have developed in conjunction with some other districts with information that we have found working with Godot. You're going to find this again in the attachments that were sent to you. And then we also, at the end of this presentation, I'll show you where to access all of this information on Acorn as well. So again, look out on the website. Here's our repository, but most importantly, rely on your program manager to help you through this process as well. If we and you just cannot find any research that supports what you want to do, that doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means that you're going to need to complete a logic model. A logic model is like action research that you're doing at your school site, where you're expecting certain resources to provide a certain outcome. And you'll be following along with whatever it is we've put into the logic model and seeing if it really does have a good outcome at the end of the year and it made a difference for your students. Typically, we should be able to find something that's in the strong, moderate, or promising categories for you. But again, this is a model that is out there. As a caveat to this, if you are a school that is school improvement and you're working on anything related to your school improvement budgets, the logic model cannot be used in those areas. Let's talk Title I and school improvement budgets. For both of these budgets, all items must be included in the SIP. This includes your staff, tutorials, stipends, professional development, software, technology, supplies, family engagement items and staff, and any other resources. We know from firsthand experience this past year that Godot is randomly pulling school improvement plans off the SLDS platform and comparing them with the budgets you're submitting. If something's not found on the page that you indicated on your budget in your plan, Godot's coming back and they're asking for more information. They're digging deeper into what you're submitting. We had a number of schools this past year that had to submit additional information to support their budgets before they could be approved by Godot. We don't want that to happen to you. So please ensure that your SIP and your budgets work hand in hand. Finally, throughout this presentation, I've repeatedly said, you'll find that attached to the email you were sent. You'll find that attached to the email you were sent. If you can't locate your email sometime moving forward in the future, we will have all the resources that were sent to you in addition to links and this presentation posted on Acorn. If you follow the simple steps on your screen, go to Acorn Online Resources and the School Improvement Cycle icon, you'll be able to find our repository of evidence-based research, our PowerPoints, root cause analysis, and all kinds of good information to support you as you work through this process. Let's move on to a slightly different topic, and that's talking about federal program updates. Typically, we would present these in talking points where we come out to your school and take the time to sit down, find out what's happening with you, what's happening with Title I programming, and where we're going in the future. But again, due to unusual circumstances, we're working virtual these days. When you received this email, it requested you to stop and look at the attached talking points prior to participating in the training. Hopefully you've had a chance to do so. Maybe you even printed a copy to follow along. But if you haven't done so, I would suggest you stop right now in the presentation, go back, find talking points, and take a look at them before you go any further. If you've looked at them, we'll just continue on our way. Talking points are going to highlight several things: FY20 spending, school improvement process, family engagement, staff stipends, McKinsey-Vento, ESOL Title III programming. One of the items mentioned in talking points is completing your school-wide goal status report. This report is a look back at how you did meeting your SIP goals. This is something that's naturally part of your school improvement process. We're just asking you to take a few minutes and document those outcomes on this form and return it to us on June 30th. Again, this is attached to your presentation. Some critical deadlines that are coming up. On April 24th, which we realize has already passed, but we put it on here specifically to point out that everything related to family engagement FY20 was due on the 24th. We realize that some of your parent facilitators won't have the capabilities of submitting all of their documents at this time because we are working virtually. We will make arrangements with them to come by the school when we're all back in a building and pick up items. On May 15th, if you are one of our 10 schools that are school improvement, your justifications will be due at that time. On May 29th, universal periodic certifications are due. Typically, your program manager will complete this for you, send it to you for a signature. This is where you certify that individuals paid with Title I funds are on the list. June 30th, CNA, SIP, and budgets are due in addition to your status report that we just talked about. Work agreements. Why would you need work agreements right now? Well, some of you have in your budgets working with your leadership team, maybe on your SIP and CNA or planning for next year. Some of you have professional development that might be happening a week before you come back to school with your staff, that because you all have been in different directions right now, you want to pull everybody back together, and this was in your budget as a plan. You're going to need work agreements, and work agreements need submitted 2 weeks prior to the work happening. We are working with HR right now on an electronic workflow process where work agreements will not have to be physically signed off on, but can be electronically signed off and passed through the system. And so you'll be hearing more from us about that process, hopefully in the next week or so, and plenty of time for any stipend agreements you need for your leadership team to be processed. Something else that's new and exciting that's coming to Title I is the Title I Crate. This is a web-based federal compliance monitoring accountability system, and that's a mouthful. But it's also something we're very much in need of. Even prior to COVID-19, we're moving towards an electronic management system. This system is going to streamline our processes. As many of you know, we were due to have cross-functional monitoring on April 23rd. Well, that's been postponed until the fall sometime. We don't have a date yet. If we'd have had the crate, it would have made it a little easier for us because everything would be electronic. And moving forward, it will in the future because it's going to cut down on that tedious process of collecting documents from your school. The Crate Campus, which is your school crate, so you almost think of this as a notebook system. We have district level, and then each school has their own crate electronically, which has mobile app devices where you can just take a picture of a document, it scans it directly into your crate, into the correct folder for monitoring, and you don't have to worry about it again. You'll get a weekly update if there's any reminders of documents that need submitted or something that's overdue. You can have multiple users on your campus uploading information so it doesn't all fall on you or one person. We can offer support and training for you. Mainly, it is built specifically for Title I and all of our needs. Finally, we'd like to thank each one of you for being awesome. We certainly couldn't do our job without your wonderful support and the pleasure of working with each one of you on a daily basis. As always, please reach out to each one of us. Our phone numbers are listed here. We are available. We are more than happy to support you in any way we can through this process to answer questions. Thank you so much again for your attention during this training and for reviewing all of our supporting documents. Please complete the training by answering several questions. These questions will verify your participation in the training and also provide some valuable information that we will need moving forward. Thank you and have a great day.